On the night of February 1st, 1959, 9 experienced hikers disappeared in the frozen Ural Mountains of the Soviet Union. Weeks later, rescuers found their tent abandoned on an exposed mountainside. It had been cut open from the inside. Their boots, coats, food, cameras, and supplies were still neatly arranged inside, yet the hikers had fled into temperatures approaching minus 30 degrees Celsius. As search teams followed their footprints through the snow, the discoveries became even stranger. 2 bodies were found barefoot beneath a cedar tree. 3 more lay scattered across the mountainside, as though they had desperately tried to return to the tent. The final 4 were discovered months later in a snow-covered ravine, suffering injuries so severe that investigators compared them to those from a high-speed car crash. For decades, the Dyatlov Pass incident became one of the world's greatest unsolved mysteries. Theories range from avalanches and secret military experiments to UFOs, the KGB, and even the legendary Yeti. But after more than 60 years, modern scientific research may have finally revealed what really happened. This is the story of the Dyatlov Pass incident. The expedition began on January 23, 1959. Led by 23-year-old engineering student Igor Dyatlov, a group of 10 experienced hikers set out on a demanding skiing expedition across the northern Ural Mountains. Every member of the team held advanced hiking certifications and had completed difficult winter expeditions before. Their goal was ambitious, but realistic. Travel hundreds of kilometers through one of the Soviet Union's harshest wilderness regions before returning home in early February. The journey began smoothly. After traveling by train, bus, truck, and horse-drawn sleigh, the group continued on skis into the remote mountains. They documented nearly every step of the expedition with photographs and detailed journals, giving investigators an unusually complete picture of their final days. Just a few days into the journey, one member of the team, Yuri Yudin, developed severe joint pain. Realizing he could not continue, he turned back. It was a heartbreaking decision. He would become the only survivor. The remaining 9 hikers continued north. Despite freezing temperatures and heavy snowfall, morale remained high. Their journals described jokes, songs around camp, and confidence in reaching their destination. Nothing suggested disaster was waiting just ahead. On February 1st, deteriorating weather pushed the group slightly off their planned route. Instead of descending into the shelter of a nearby forest, Dyatlov decided to camp on the exposed slope of Kholat Syakhl. Translated from the local Mansi language, the mountain's name means Dead Mountain. Although often presented as an ominous warning, the name likely referred to the area's lack of wildlife rather than any supernatural history. That evening, the hikers prepared dinner, took photographs, wrote one final journal entry, and settled into their tent. Sometime during the night, everything changed. For reasons still debated today, all 9 hikers suddenly left the tent. None of them ever returned. The group was expected to send a telegram after completing the expedition. When no message arrived, family members initially assumed the hikers had simply been delayed by bad weather. Winter expeditions often ran behind schedule, but as the days passed, concern grew. On February 20th, rescue teams finally began searching. Within days, volunteers, soldiers, aircraft, helicopters, and search dogs joined the operation. On February 26th, rescuers found the tent. What they discovered immediately raised disturbing questions. The entrance was closed. Instead, investigators found several large cuts made through the side of the tent, from the inside. Inside were boots, heavy winter clothing, food, cameras, money, and personal belongings. The hikers had apparently left in a hurry, taking almost nothing with them. The next morning, investigators located footprints leading away from the campsite. Surprisingly, the tracks suggested the hikers had not been running. They had walked downhill in an orderly fashion toward a forest about 1.5 kilometers away. Some wore only socks, others were barefoot. One person wore a single boot. In temperatures below minus 30 degrees, surviving outside without proper clothing would have been almost impossible. Near a large cedar tree, rescuers found the first 2 bodies. Yuri Doroshenko and Yuri Krivonishenko had died beside the remains of a small fire. Broken branches high in the tree suggested one or both men had climbed it, possibly to look for the tent or search for danger. Over the following days, 3 more bodies were found between the cedar tree and the campsite. Igor Dyatlov, Zenaida Kolmogorova, Rustem Slobodin. Investigators concluded they had attempted to return to the tent before collapsing from hypothermia, but 4 hikers remained missing. It was not until May, after the snow began melting, that rescuers finally located the remaining 4. They were buried beneath several meters of snow inside a nearby ravine. Unlike the first 5 victims, these hikers had suffered devastating injuries. 2 had multiple fractured ribs. 1 had a fractured skull. The force required to cause these injuries was described as comparable to a serious car accident. Yet, remarkably, there were few external wounds. There were no signs of a fight, no knife wounds, no bullet holes, no evidence of another person attacking the group. Then investigators made several discoveries that would fuel decades of speculation. 1 victim was missing her tongue. 2 were missing their eyes. Several pieces of clothing showed elevated levels of radioactivity. To many people, the case no longer looked like a tragic accident. It looked like a cover-up. Over the following decades, theories exploded across books, documentaries, and the internet. Some believed Soviet military weapons had accidentally killed the hikers. Others suggested secret KGB operations. Reports of glowing orange lights seen in the sky led to UFO theories. Some blamed infrasound. Others claimed the hikers had encountered the legendary Yeti. But as dramatic as these explanations sounded, none were supported by convincing evidence. The missing soft tissue was most likely caused by months of natural decomposition beneath snow and flowing water. The radioactive clothing belonged to hikers who had previously worked around radioactive materials, and the contamination levels were relatively low. No evidence of explosives, gunfire, or military involvement was ever found. The mystery remained, but many of its strangest details had ordinary explanations. The biggest question still remained unanswered. Why did they leave the tent? For many years, investigators dismissed the avalanche theory. The slope appeared too shallow. There was no massive debris field, and the tent remained partially standing. However, advances in snow science eventually changed that view. In 2021, Russian investigators concluded that a rare type of slab avalanche offered the most likely explanation. Unlike the enormous avalanches people often imagine, slab avalanches involve a dense layer of snow, breaking loose and sliding only a short distance. Such an event could have struck the tent during the night, injuring some of the hikers and convincing the group that a larger collapse was imminent. With only seconds to react, cutting through the side of the tent would have been the fastest escape. Fearing another slide, they moved downhill toward the forest. Once there, they built a fire and attempted to survive. Some tried returning to the tent after realizing the danger had passed. Others searched for shelter. 4 eventually fell into the snow-covered ravine, where hidden rocks beneath deep snow could explain their severe internal injuries. Separated, injured, exhausted, and exposed to extreme cold, all 9 hikers ultimately died from a combination of trauma and hypothermia. Does this explanation answer every question? Not entirely. No one can know exactly what each hiker experienced during those final hours. But unlike many earlier theories, the modern explanation fits nearly all of the physical evidence without requiring conspiracies or supernatural events. Today, most researchers consider the Dyatlov Pass incident largely solved. Not because every mystery has disappeared, but because science has provided the most convincing explanation yet. What was once believed to be one of history's greatest unsolved mysteries may instead have been a tragic chain of natural events, made catastrophic by extreme weather, darkness, and impossible decisions. More than 60 years later, the story continues to fascinate millions around the world. Not because of aliens, not because of secret experiments, but because it reminds us how quickly even the most experienced people can become victims of nature. The Dyatlov Pass incident may never be understood in every detail, but perhaps the greatest mystery was never what happened. It was why it took us so long to understand it. If you enjoyed this documentary, don't forget to subscribe, leave a like, and let us know in the comments. Do you think the Dyatlov Pass mystery is finally solved?